Hi kids, and welcome to day 7 of learning Psalm 23. So far we've learned 3 of the first verses. So remember, we have our piece of paper I've been highlighting, and we've learned 1, 2, and 3 just slowly, bit by bit, and we still have 3 more to go. And again, we're not going to work on those too quickly. We're just going to work on them bit by bit and a little bit at a time. And we'll just do a review first. So remember, I had shown you some hand signals. So verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need. 2, he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. 3, he gives me new strength, and he guides me in the right paths for the glory or honor of his name. So you'll notice sometimes I say a little bit different word that means the same thing. And like I told you before, it's because I had memorized this in a different version. I had learned it in the King James Version a long time ago. And some of the words are a little bit different, but they mean the same thing. And now we're going through what's called the New International Reader's Version, which is just a slightly easier translation to understand. Now we're going into verse 4, but instead of showing all 4 fingers on one hand, I'm going to break them up into 2 so that when you go like that, we have 2 valleys or 2 mountains, and then there's a valley coming through here. And the verse says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are with me. I'm actually going to draw that picture with you now, and then we'll talk some more about it. So up to this point, we've talked about the Lord is my shepherd. He gives me everything I need. He lets me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths for the honor of his name. And today's verse that we're learning is talking about the darkest valley. So again, it's just the first half of verse 4. If you want to, you can fold that in half. So this is our first part of verse 4. And to do the darkest valley, we're going to do 2 big upside down V's or an M. And you can see here how this is, we're just so little way down here in the darkest valley. And the point of the dark valley is that no matter where the sun shines, unless it's directly overhead, the sun never reaches you. You're always in the dark. So here we have, even though I walk through the darkest valley, you are with me. So we'll draw a great big God again. I will not be afraid because you are with me. And God provides that light and that direction for us. On the back, we can write, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. You are with me. All right, so we drew our picture, and I wanted to draw it first just because it's such a visual thing today that we're talking about. So here's our deep valley. So the 2 big sides of the M, like I said, they cast that shadow, and you're always, when you're walking down in the middle of that deep valley, you're always in the dark unless the sun is directly overhead, and maybe some places that doesn't really happen just because of how the road or the path wanders. So you can feel like you're just in the dark, that you're stumbling around, and that happens to all of us sometimes. And maybe it hasn't happened to you yet, but someday you may feel like, it's just so dark, I don't know where I'm going. But we can always believe and remember that God is with us, therefore we don't need to be afraid. So the verse is, and I wrote it on the back, my paper kind of moved a bit when I was doing that, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, you are with me. So the verse that I had learned, the version said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And that to us often is the thing that can seem the darkest, when maybe somebody that we love dies, or we ourselves get really sick, and that can be really scary for us. But we can remember even then, in that darkest time, that God is always with us. So our 4, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are with me. All right, thanks kids, and I hope that you're encouraged and learning these verses with me, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.